a lot of different contributors, a balanced scoring attack this year. Jones makes them both. It's 5-0 start for the Redhawks. Pull up Jay from Melton. Off the mark, and a tie-up. And possession arrow will keep it on this end with Forest Hills. And the Yellow Jackets making the trip from about 10-15 minutes away in Marshville, right here to Monroe High School tonight. Quick inbound, rejected by Gingham. Jones comes up with it, and she'll handle the rock. Looking for the lead, feet ahead. Good D, good transition D by Diamond Wallace. Number 15 in goal to deflect it out of play. And Montgomery will trigger it in. She's the workhorse inside for Monroe, along with Gingham. Monroe is one of the biggest teams in the Rocky River 2A, 3A conference. Step back on the J. Gingham couldn't connect, but the follow-up is there. And Sade Robinson with her first 2 points of the opening quarter as Monroe leads 7-0. And a whistle comes in. Foul against Monroe. That's team foul number 1 here at the 5-minute mark of the first quarter. Kendall Lewis here with you on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Griffin, off balance, banks it home on the floater. And the Yellow Jackets on the board. Jones brings it into the front court for Monroe. Robinson, nowhere to go, picks up her dribble, finds Jones back out top. Just over 4.5 minutes to go, first quarter. They feed it inside. Gingham gets the bounce off glass. And a 7-point lead here early for the Redhawks. Kick out, 3-ball, wild from Rory. And Jones collects the rebound from Monroe. Summer Jones up the floor, this one taken away. Griffin with the steal. Numbers for the Yellow Jackets. Melton drops it back off, and Griffin sticks it in for 2. And a timeout here at the 4:02 mark of the first quarter. 9-4 start for Monroe. And we'll take it with them here on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. We come back to Monroe leading by 5, 9-4 here, under 4 minutes left to play. And Forest Hills trying to make it back-to-back buckets out of the timeout. Kendall Lewis here with you on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. And a turnover back to the Redhawks. Here comes Summer Jones. And a whistle comes in and a foul against the Redhawks. That's team foul number 2 on Monroe. Each team with 2 apiece here in the opening quarter. And we saw Monroe with the first 7 points to start the game. And you look at these teams, 1-3 in conference play as Monroe, 2-3 as Forest Hills, just behind West Stanley, who's at the top of the league. And nice stroke. Griffin knocks it down. She's got 5 of the opening 7 for Forest Hills. Up the floor. 3-ball wild from Robinson. Tapped around, trying to track it down is Wallace. And out of bounds. It'll belong to Monroe. Here with just over 3 minutes left to play. Folks, don't forget we'll have the men's game coming up at about 7:30, 10 minutes at the conclusion of this one. Robinson trying to back her way inside. Had it knocked out of her hands. Robinson nowhere to go in the corner. Tries to skip it, and it works out. Montgomery all alone, sticks it in off glass. Little desperation play for Monroe. Quick take from Melton, and she draws the foul. Now you're going to get your first look up close at Leah Melton, who is the top scorer for Forest Hills at almost 20 per game. Looking for her first points here in the opening quarter and knocks down the first. Now Brandon Raines, the head coach in year number 2 for Forest Hills, has got some really good young talent you're going to see in the coming years, including Leah Melton. Melton a steal. Melton on the other end. Lays it home. Defense to offense for the Yellow Jackets. And just like that, Forest Hills pulls back within 1 with just over 2 minutes left to play in the first. Robinson surveys the floor. Tries to hand it back off to Jones. Back court. And a turnover back to Forest Hills. Yellow Jackets could take their first lead of the game right here on this possession. We mentioned Monroe got off to a 7-0 start to begin the game. Griffin nowhere to go, picks up her dribble. Rory surveys. Now Griffin will bring it back out at the top for Forest Hills. Melton slices in, kicks it. Open look, Rory knocks it down, and Forest Hills has their first lead of the first quarter. Couple of threes for the Yellow Jackets in the last few minutes. Here's Robinson. Hounded by Melton. Active hand, she poked it loose. Gingham dies on the floor. Melton comes up with it. And here come the Yellow Jackets as Griffin's bumped. Whistle and a foul against Monroe. Team foul number 4. I was talking with Coach Raines before this when he said, look, this whole entire roster is nothing but freshman, sophomore. Not only one of the youngest teams in the conference, but one of the youngest teams in the state of North Carolina. And he's just in his second year trying to change the culture at Forest Hills, and they've got some really good talent. Have battled back from 7 down and lead by 2 here. Jones, floater, wild. Rebound, Yellow Jackets. And Griffin will bring it across the timeline for Forest Hills. Melton in the paint, kicks it out. Rory again from deep. A couple of threes for Delilah Rory. And a 5-point lead for Forest Hills. 16-11, Yellow Jackets with the lead. And Jones had the shot altered. Here comes Griffin. Up the floor, Melton changing hands, missed the bunny. And tapped out of bounds. It was last touched by the Red Hawks. So it'll stay with Forest Hills with 12.6 seconds exactly left on the game clock. Here's Melton with 8. Melton, baseline jumper, and rattles in. How about this for Forest Hills? A quick 8-0 burst to end the first quarter. And an 18-11 lead for the Yellow Jackets. We'll take a break on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. We'll be right back after these messages. 18-11 the score, with Forest Hills leading by 7 to start the second quarter here in our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Kendall Lewis here with you. Nice little crosstown rivalry, about 10-15 minutes apart of these two schools, as Jones tries the teardrop, and it's long. Here comes Melton, all alone in transition. Easy lay-in on the other end. I tell you what, ever since Monroe scored the first 7 points, Forest Hills is settled in here. Jones can't finish. Melton the rebound. Numbers for the Yellow Jackets. Melton will pull up on the J. And Sage back in play. Second chance opportunity for Forest Hills. Here's a step back. This one's off the mark, and rebound collected in by the Redhawks. Desperately needing a bucket here. Been on a scoring drought since about the 2-minute mark of the first quarter. Inside to Gingham. Nowhere to go. She'll kick it back out. And out of bounds. This will stay with the Redhawks here. Just a minute and change has gone off the clock here in the second quarter. Pickett's in the game for the first time tonight. Jones trying to tiptoe the baseline. Drops it off underneath. Second opportunity, yes, for Gingham. Mentioned Monroe is one of the bigger teams in the Rocky River Conference this year, with Gingham and Montgomery underneath. And a reach-in foul called on the Redhawks. That's team foul number 1 of the second quarter. Let's take a look at the follow-up from Gingham just a moment ago. A substitution for the Yellow Jackets as we get back to play here. Just over 6 to go first half. Griffin lets it go from 3, short. Trying to track it down in the corner. It trickles out of bounds, and it'll be Monroe basketball. With 6 minutes left to play in the first half. And tapped out of bounds. They say last touch by the Yellow Jackets. Once again, we mentioned Forest Hills head coach Brandon Raines in year number 2 at the helm of this program. You get a look at Leroy Osborne right there, who calls a timeout, who has been at Monroe High School for 24 years, in year number 14 as the head coach. This guy, a lifer here at Monroe High School, helps coach the football team with Coach Sal that you'll see in the men's game. He's also the flag football coach, coaches track and field. And here's a look at Brandon Raines of Forest Hills. He's in year number 2 as the head coach, a PE teacher at the middle school. And as we mentioned, trying to really change the culture of this Forest Hills program, a team full of freshmen and sophomore, one of the youngest teams in the state this year. And there's Leroy Osborne. Won a couple of conference championships here at Monroe on the women's side. We mentioned this is a guy that has been here for quite some time. Coach Osborne, a 1993 Monroe High School graduate. I was joking with Coach Osborne before this game. Coach Sal, that coaches the men's team, was an 81 grad. He was a 1993 graduate. That both of those guys, two of the longest tenured coaches here at Monroe High School. Jones slices in, had the shot altered, rebound Yellow Jackets. Here comes Griffin. Griffin will pull up on the J and hits it. Well, Griffin's got an early 7 points in the first half for Forest Hills. Nowhere to go in the corner. Pickett gets tied up. And possession arrow is going to give it back to Forest Hills. 22-13, largest lead of the game for the Yellow Jackets, who began this game down 7-0. Melton, wild on the three, offensive board, pulled in by Clyburn Smith. And the Yellow Jackets will reset. Here's Griffin. Fading away, rebound collected in by Montgomery. And Jones fouled on the reach-in from Dynasty Wallace. You know, a couple of sisters on this team, Dynasty and Diamond Wallace. You'll hear us call their names quite a bit. Number 10 and 15 for the Yellow Jackets. How about a steal for Clyburn Smith? Missed it. Melton couldn't follow it up. And the tip out to Jones. Up ahead, Gingham. Missed it from close range. And out the lead feed, Melton in transition, lays it home for the Yellow Jackets. And the largest lead at double digits now for Forest Hills. Take a second look. How about the court vision from Griffin up the floor to Melton to lay it home. Off glass, we mentioned Melton. Just a freshman at 19.7 points a game for the Yellow Jackets, as Forest Hills turns it back over to Monroe. Once again, Kendall Lewis here with you on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. As Jones gets tripped up trying to split the double team. Whistle and a foul against the Yellow Jackets. And that's going to be team foul number 2. Here at the 4:07 mark of the second quarter. They inbound it to Jones, blocked from behind by Griffin. And Melton will bring it up the floor for Forest Hills. Melton slithers into the paint, had it blocked by Gingham. And Gingham nowhere to go. Handles the rock, nobody helping her out. And a quick timeout from Leroy Osborne. Boy, dangerous. As we take a second look, Gingham had nowhere to go. And Osborne, the desperation timeout to save the possession for the Redhawks. Get a look inside of Brandon Raines' huddle. The guy that played college basketball at Pfeiffer University, not too far from here. For head coach Dave Davis. If you're just joining us, Monroe scored the first 7 points of the game as Forest Hills came back to answer. At the end of the first, it was 18-11. So an 18-4 run to end the first quarter for the Yellow Jackets. Jones, clean look, as this one trickles out of bounds. And Melton will control the rock for the Yellow Jackets with a double-digit lead, a team full of 9th and 10th graders. Melton, floater, tough move to get to the rack. Rebound pulled in by the Redhawks. Here comes Jones in transition. Trying to drop it off to Sade Robinson, out of bounds. It'll go back to Forest Hills. Just over 3 minutes left to go, second quarter. Again, we got the men's game coming up. About 10 minutes at the conclusion of this one. Scheduled start time of 7:30. That's right here on BahakelSports.com as well. Once again, pivotal game right here in the standings. Kind of a logjam in the middle part of this conference. the Rocky River 2A, 3A. And out of bounds, it'll stay with the Yellow Jackets underneath their own hoop. Melton to trigger it in, catching fire from 3, and Griffin hits it again. 3 triples for Griffin here in the first half. And Melton collects the rebound. Melton looking to push, off balance, and this one pulled in by Montgomery. Jones on the other end finds Gingham under the basket, who lays it home. And a much-needed bucket for Monroe. Just 4 points so far in the second quarter. Melton gets into the paint, pulls up, and Jones corrals the rebound. And a turnover. And they give it right back to the Redhawks. Sade Robinson skips it. And jump ball, the arrow will keep it with Monroe here with 1:38 left to play in the second quarter. And a whistle and a travel, a shuffle of the feet underneath against Gingham. We'll give it back to Forest Hills, leading by 12. Just 90 seconds to go, second quarter. Leo Melton surveys. Forest Hills eating some clock here on this possession. And we mentioned an 18-4 run to end the first quarter for the Yellow Jackets. And a whistle and a reach in. Foul called on the Redhawks. Couple of whistles here. And pretty clean first half for these two teams. Mentioned both with some young talent. Forest Hills' entire roster, 9th and 10th graders. Melton shot fake. Extra pass, corner. They'll get it back to the top. Melton pulls up. Misses on the jumper. And out of bounds back to Monroe. Just under 40 seconds left to play, second quarter. Inside they fing it. Gingham on the easy lay-in. Trims the deficit back down to 10. Just 15 seconds as the Yellow Jackets pull it back out front. Griffin, who's knocked down 3 triples already in the first, empty from distance. Loose on the floor, Sade Robinson has it, and jump ball the call. A possession arrow will give it back to Forest Hills with 2 seconds left. Yellow Jackets let it roll. Melton picks it up, got it off in time, and hits it. How about an exclamation point for the Yellow Jackets to end the first half? Liam Melton from distance. And a 13-point Yellow Jacket lead here at halftime on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. We'll take a break. We've got more coming up on our Downer Law Firm halftime report right after these messages. We welcome you back to our Downer Law Firm halftime report on our Bahakel Sports doubleheader of the week. It's Monroe and Forest Hills. The Yellow Jackets with a 13-point lead and a deep three from Leah Melton as the horn expired to end the first half with a double-digit lead for Forest Hills. All right, folks, plenty of high school hoops taking place across the Charlotte metro area. Here's an interesting story on one of the best players in the country from right here in Charlotte.
6'5". She's the tallest player Robert Conrad has ever coached.
I'll stand on a chair if I need to get her attention.
While her name grabs enough attention on its own, it's also her height.
My mom is Ecuadorian, so it's a family name, which you wouldn't assume because my mom's really tall and you don't expect that coming from a Hispanic normally.
Naturally, basketball became a part of her life at an early age.
So Blanca was probably 7, 8 years old. Tried to move her up to the 10-year-old group. She was a head taller than everybody else still.
But it did not always have a place in her heart.
Like, I didn't feel the love I do for it now back then.
Her tune changed during the pandemic when she took the time to take her talent to new heights. Raw talent gets you notoriety, and with it, added pressure.
When I walk into a building, it's like everybody's like, oh, like, you know, then no one sees this often, and so you're expected to perform at a certain level. So when I feel like I'm not meeting that expectation, it definitely takes a toll on it mentally.
While she's been working hard on the hardwood, there's still much to work on to keep her skills tight.
There are not a lot of Blancas out there in the state at all, if probably none. And from the time she was a freshman till now, she's got 2 people, 3 people guarding her sometimes. And so she's really been, more patient. I think we've seen a big jump this year and just in her, the mental side of her game.
Blanca came into her senior season with her future intact after committing to Chapel Hill. The sense of security allows her to take the pressure and blinders off of her box score.
I was just always trying to be perfect, but that's why this year I've really taken a step back to look at the whole picture and just realize it's not everything. You can affect the game in so many different ways.
Reporting in Charlotte, Jack Taylor, Bahakel Sports.
What a great story on Blanca Thomas, who will be a part of our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week package coming up in the next few weeks. Right now, it's Forest Hills, a 13-point lead over Monroe. We welcome you back to our Downer Law Firm halftime report here on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Kendall Lewis here with you with Forest Hills leading Monroe in game one of our doubleheader, 30-17. We'll take a look at some first half highlights. And how about the freshman Leah Melton leaving it off for an open three there from Delilah Rory. Melton, who we highlighted in the opens, got a smooth stroke. One of the up-and-comers for Brandon Raines and his Forest Hills crew, averaging almost 20 points a contest. Monroe, on the other hand, one of the biggest teams in the Rocky River 2A, 3A conference. Gingham led the way in scoring with a couple of putbacks for the Red Hawks, and here's Melton in transition off the lead feed from Azaria Griffin, who was really good, and there's the cap off for the first half from Melton, who just got it off in time to bank it in. And Forest Hills, their largest lead of the game as we get set to begin the second half of play. 30-17, 13-point lead for the Yellow Jackets. Tonight's Bahakel Sports Game of the Week is brought to you by Queen City Audio, Video, and Appliances, your outdoor and kitchen tailgate headquarters. Acosta Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. And last but not least, the Downer Law Firm, Charlotte's hometown legal team. It's 30-17. Forest Hills leading Monroe in game one of our doubleheader here on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week tonight in the Rocky River 2A, 3A conference. We mentioned this is a pivotal game for both teams because you look at the conference standings right now. You've got a 5-0 Piedmont team, a 4-1 Parkwood, a 4-1 West Stanley, and then it's Forest Hills Monroe at 2-3, 1-3. Eyeing a playoff berth are both of these teams. And both these teams really trying to change their culture. We mentioned Brandon Raines in his second year as the head coach at Forest Hills. With all 9th and 10th graders on his roster. And Monroe, with the head coach Leroy Osborne, who's won a couple of conference championships in his 14 years as the head coach. One of the taller teams in the league, and they started out up 7-0 to begin the game. Red Hawks will have the basketball first, looking to strike right out of the locker room. Gingham goes back up and draws the foul. Had the shot altered the first time, but Gingham just stays with it. I'll tell you what, Sanaya Gingham, just a senior. Look at her height, well over 6 feet tall. And still trying to play at the next level. Again, drawing some interest that Coach Osborne says she will be a dime in the rough for someone with her height and her potential. Griffin pulls up on the jumper. And it's off the mark. Rebound pulled in by the Red Hawks. And Summer Jones trying to bring it up the floor. Lost control of the rock momentarily. Sade Robinson missed everything with the right hand. Rebound, Yellow Jackets. Looking to push. Griffin, floater, long. And now it's loose on the floor. And a reach-in foul called against the Yellow Jackets. That'll be team foul number 2 on Forest Hills here in the third quarter. Nobody reached the bonus in the first half of play. And we mentioned Monroe with the early lead. Forest Hills ended the first quarter on an 18-4 run. It was 18-11 after Monroe scored the first 7 points. And out of bounds, this will go back to the Red Hawks. Forest Hills with a little bit of full court pressure. They'll mix it up defensively. Trying to lob it inside to Gingham. They find her, and that's just too easy. Gingham, who led the way in scoring for the Red Hawks in the first half, has the first 2 points to start the third quarter. And Melton called for the travel. Let's take a second look. On the feed from Jones to Gingham. Inside for 2. They get it to Jones. Oh, nice press breaker from Monroe as they attack the press and score. Sade Robinson with the bucket for Monroe and a quick 4-0 start for the Red Hawks. Griffin steps back on the jumper. And Montgomery the rebound. Monroe patient offensively. We mentioned Leroy Osborne. Says we pride ourselves on the fundamentals of the game. Jones misses the lay-in, but Gingham's there to clean it up. Well, it's interesting because Coach Osborne of Monroe, as Griffin's called for the moving screen, and Forest Hills will give it back to the Red Hawks. Coach Leroy Osborne for the Red Hawks, mentioned helps coach football, is also the flag football coach here at Monroe High School. And 4 of his players played flag football for him this fall. Timeout here at the 5:46 mark. And Coach Osborne, also a track and field coach here at Monroe High School as well. Folks, Friday night, we go to Marvin Ridge, who will be taking on Weddington. We'll have both of those games streaming live right here on BahakelSports.com with the women starting at 6 o'clock. Always fun when those two get together. Weddington having an incredible year, ranked in the top 10 in men's in the state of North Carolina, at least for the 4A West division right now. And a tremendous year in football this year, winning the 4A state championship. Jump ball, the whistle, and the arrow's going to give it back to the Yellow Jackets. Monroe has started off with the first 6 points to start the third quarter. Griffin trying to attack, had it swiped out of her hands, and it's going to stay with the Yellow Jackets. And Griffin missed everything. Open look that time, but couldn't knock it down. She hit 3 threes in the first half for Forest Hills. Trying to feed it inside to Gingham. Nice steal. Griffin attacking. Couldn't lay it home. Rebound Red Hawks. And a chance to try to slice into this deficit. And Gingham goes up and is fouled. So Gingham will go back to the free throw line for Monroe. Pulls in 5.5 rebounds a night for the Red Hawks. We highlighted her in the open for Monroe that she could be the difference in this game tonight. Again, both these teams right now stuck in the middle part of the conference as Monroe's on a 7-0 run to begin the third quarter. Open look from three, short. And last touch by the Red Hawks. And a steal. Jones took it away, and then a whistle and a foul against the Yellow Jackets. A substitution for the Yellow Jackets is Jaden Hall will check in. Red Hawks basketball. Trailing by 6. All of a sudden, this game has gotten interesting. It was a 13-point Forest Hills lead, 30-17 at halftime. And excuse me, that is the 5th, which is going to put Jones at the line for Monroe. And first one's off the back of the rim. We talked about multi-sport talents on this Monroe team as Gingham, the offensive board, sticks it back in. How about a 9-0 start to the third quarter for the Red Hawks? And Melton trying to drive in was hacked on the arm. So Forest Hills basketball, first team foul against the Red Hawks. And Melton surveys the floor. Lost control, it goes right into the hands of Gingham. Gonna bring it across the timeline herself. Gets it to Jones. Summer Jones driving in, had it swiped away. And then a reach-in foul on Gingham. That's the second team foul against Monroe. Melton out front, pressured by Jones. Melton, coast to coast, tough move. Couldn't finish it with the right hand. And rebound Red Hawks. Yeah, Monroe just keeps chipping away. A 9-0 start to the third quarter. Just over 3.5 left to play. They get it inside. Gingham sticks it in off the glass. All of a sudden, we've got a 2-point game. Melton trying to drive and kick, throws it out of bounds. And a timeout, Forest Hills, here with 3:23 left to play in the third. We'll take it as well. 2-point game, 11-0 start to the second half for the Red Hawks on our base. Just over 3 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Kendall Lewis here with you on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week, and it's Forest Hills hanging on to that 2-point lead here in the third quarter. They are scoreless in the third quarter. They had a 13-point lead at halftime, and Leroy Osborne's crew on an 11-0 run to start the second half. And it's all been by the work inside of Sanaya Gingham. And Monroe really doing a nice job of feeding her the rock so far. Mentioned notable size advantage for the Redhawks in this one. One of the taller players in the Rocky River 2A, 3A conference. Here's Gingham underneath, trying to go to work, finishes it off glass. We are tied at 30. And a whistle and a foul on the floor. Team foul number 3, it should be on the Redhawks. And Forest Hills is over the limit. Monroe in the bonus the rest of the way. And shot altered inside. Now Sade Robinson tied up. And possession arrow will keep it with the Redhawks with just under 3 minutes left to play in the third quarter. Jones the kick. 3-ball long that time from Robinson. Grabs her on miss. Can't finish it at the rim. Montgomery an offensive board. Back out to Jones. Inside, Gingham gives Monroe the lead. 15 unanswered points here in the third quarter for Monroe. Rory pulls up at the free throw line. Can't get it to go off the window. An offensive rebound for the Yellow Jackets. Melton falling away. Tough shot, nearly banked it in. And rebound collected in by Jones. Nearly stolen away. She gets it back. Jones up the floor. Lobs it inside to Robinson. Missed the bunny. And out of bounds, it's going to stay on this end with the Redhawks. Let's take a second look at that finish from Sanaya Gingham. Who's been the difference maker here in the second. And they get it into her. She's fouled. Bumped on the way up. And Gingham's going to go to the free throw line for the Redhawks. Here with 1:55 left to play in the third. And can't connect on the first free throw. We mentioned Monroe in the bonus the rest of the way. 15 unanswered points. Went into the locker room with Forest Hills all the momentum. And Griffin going to bring it up the floor for the Yellow Jackets. And she was a big difference maker. 3 made threes. Nearly gets that one to drop. Offensive board turned back by Gingham. And out of bounds, it was last touched by the Yellow Jackets. Full court pressure from Forest Hills. Gingham, strong hands, missed the bunny, gets it back, second opportunity, left short. And rebound Forest Hills, desperately needing a bucket. They have not scored in the second half yet. Leah Melton attacking, the finish, and the foul. What a move by the freshman to get to the 10 and a chance at 3. And a chance to give Forest Hills back the lead. And this one off the facial area, still in play. And the official's going to blow it dead. Boy, Jones got hit in the facial area. She's going to try to walk this one off here. Officials blew the play dead. It's Monroe basketball. Forest Hills leading by 1. And they turn the Redhawks over. Wild shot. This one banks in for Dynasty Wallace. Back to a 3-point lead for the Yellow Jackets. Pressure bothering Monroe. Melton blocks in the paint. And now jump ball. Possession error going to favor the Yellow Jackets. Take a second look. Soft rims here at Monroe High School for Dynasty Wallace, who's all smiles after her first bucket of the game. Just under a minute to go, third quarter. This is game 1. Rory can't hit it from distance. They lob this one inside. Robinson can't finish at the rim. And jump ball, the whistle. And this time it's going to stay with the Redhawks on this end. And a timeout with 31.4 ticks exactly left here in the third quarter. So again, this is game 1 of our doubleheader tonight on Bahakel Sports. We've got the men's game coming up. There's a look at Brandon Raines, the head coach for the Yellow Jackets of Forest Hills. Leroy Osborne, a guy that's in year number 14, is the head coach. Year 24. Mentioned coaches multiple sports here at Monroe High School. And Coach Raines here at Forest Hills just in year number 2. With the program, and trying to change the culture of this program, and he has got some really talented 9th and 10th graders, including those two right there, Griffin and Melton, on the floor. Could be a force to deal with in the coming years. So 31 seconds left exactly on the game clock here at the school. Is Gingham, how about a third chance? Had it knocked out of her hands. Gingham nowhere to go, gets it back out front to Jones. Game clock officially at 10. Trying to feed it in, they can't do so. Jones, the lob, right to Gingham, who scores it plus the foul. How about the deflection that Gingham comes down with, and a chance at 3 to tie this thing up with 4 seconds left in the third quarter. We'll see who they give the 5th to. I believe that's going to be the 5th on Rory as they go to the table. Now the officials are going to talk this over. I think originally they gave the foul to Rory, which would be her 5th. And now they're trying to go to the home book to make sure everything is ironed out. This is where the home scorebook, folks, in high school hoops is very pivotal. They'll double check both scorebooks, both keepers. to be sure that this is the 5th. Tell you what, defensively, that could be a blow to Forest Hills without Rory. If this is her 5th. And it is. Rory has fouled out for Forest Hills. And Diamond Wallace checks in her place here with 4 seconds left in the third quarter. And Sanaya Gingham at the line to try to complete the three-point play for the Red Hawks. And it does just that. Strips the net. We're tied at 35. Inbound to Leah Melton. Melton pulls up and thought she was fouled shooting the three. No whistle, and the third quarter comes to a close. We're tied at 35 here in Monroe. We'll be right back with a fourth. We come back to start the fourth quarter here on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Tied at 35 as we enter the fourth quarter. It was 30-17 at halftime. With Forest Hills a 13-point lead. We're held to just 5 points in the third quarter. How about an 18-5 third quarter run for Monroe? And Gingham gives the Red Hawks the lead back. Floater, Griffin, no. Tapped around, trying to track it down is Wallace. And it goes back out front to Melton. She'll try the floater, hits it, and she's fouled. Oh, a chance at three for Leah Melton to give the Yellow Jackets the lead back. Get a second look at the foul against Gingham. And Melton at the free throw line here. Can't rattle it in. And we're tied up at 37. Whistle and a foul against Forest Hills. Delilah Rory fouled out in the third quarter. Late for the Yellow Jackets. And Griffin nowhere to go along the baseline. Here's Melton. Back out front, Griffin. Good defensive pressure that time from Jones. Three ball tapped around. Sade Robinson the rebound. And a reach-in foul against Forest Hills. Monroe trying to attack this pressure. Gingham to the bucket, lays it home off glass. 2-point lead for the Red Hawks. Griffin, Euro step, Gingham turns it back. On the rejection, and a big possession here for Monroe if they can capitalize. And Griffin picks up the body foul here with just under 7 minutes left to play. Let's take a second look. Griffin made a nice move to split two defenders, and that size and length from Gingham to block it away. Jones, floater, long. Second chance, no. Couple of misses from close range, but Gingham cleans it up. She's been the difference maker for the Red Hawks. Down the baseline, back out front. Griffin pulls up on the jumper. And this one's out of bounds. It'll go back the other way. And a late substitution for Coach Raines and his Yellow Jackets, as Jaden Hall will check in for Ivory Clyburn-Smith. It is Red Hawks basketball. And a turnover. Here's Melton. Attacking. Melton, changing hands, was fouled. And Leah Melton will head to the free throw line to shoot a pair for the Yellow Jackets. Her number's impressive for as young as she is. Again, 5.5 steals, 5.5 assists a game to go along with being almost a 20-point scorer for the Yellow Jackets this year. And able to make them both. It's a 2-point game. Forest Hills back into that full court pressure. And Sade Robinson fouled on the other end. Robinson at the free throw line for the Red Hawks. Can't connect on the first. We mentioned Coach Osborne and his relationship with all the players here at Monroe High School. Being here 14 years. And Jones is bumped by Melton. So on a whistle and a foul against Melton, Forest Hills over the limit here for the rest of the way. Mentioned they've already had one player in Delilah Rory foul out late in the third quarter. And Jones gets the roll. These are big here to extend it to two-possession game here in game one of our doubleheader on BahakelSports.com. Second one's up and good. Melton brings it across the timeline for the Yellow Jackets. Into the paint, turned back by Gingham. Big-time block. And then a turnover. We'll give it back to Forest Hills. Yeah, this has been an up and down seesaw game. Again, it was an 18-11 lead for Forest Hills after one. 30-17 after two. And how about the move from Griffin to score it plus the foul? Tell you what, when you look at Griffin, you look at Melton, this Forest Hills team going to be a problem in the next couple of years. Griffin just a sophomore as Jones goes coast to coast for the lay-in. Griffin, shot fake, gets into the paint. Griffin banks it in. The bank is open in Monroe here after hours, folks. And a quick timeout with 5 minutes left to go as you get a second look at Griffin with the Euro step and finish for the Yellow Jackets. We mentioned multiple lead changes, multiple ties. We were tied at 35 at the end of 3 quarters. Forest Hills had a 13-point lead at halftime. We watched 15 unanswered points scored by the Redhawks to start the third quarter. And both of these teams needing a conference win. We mentioned this is the first of 2 meetings. They'll meet again the first week of February, the last game of the regular season between these 2 teams. And right now, just a logjam at the middle of the conference. Forest Hills at 2-3, Monroe at 1-3. I was talking with both of these coaches before the game, and they said, look, you know, this could be a game you point back to in terms of getting a playoff spot in the state playoffs. And, folks, this is a split conference, 2A, 3A, but both of these schools will go 2A. They're both right at 1,000 students enrollment, both of these schools. Sonny Robinson's going to get it back to Jones. And Monroe leading by 2. Dangerous pass. Robinson comes away with it, and a double dribble called. Big turnover. Forest Hills can tie or take the lead here. Griffin gives way to Melton. These 2 have been so big for the Yellow Jackets tonight. Griffin pulls it, nearly banked it in. Second chance, no. And Gingham collects the board. And the Yellow Jackets charged with a foul. And Brandon Raines pleading his case with the official. Is going to send Gingham to the line. I think he's saying, hey, Gingham brought the ball down that low. Shouldn't have been called a foul, but Gingham at the free throw line. And the first one short off the front edge. Gingham missed them both. And here comes Forest Hills. They can tie or take the lead. Griffin on the pull-up. Missed it off glass. And now it's loose on the floor. And they're going to grant the Yellow Jackets a timeout. With 4:09 left to go in the fourth quarter. And we'll keep it right here on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Again, folks, we got the men's game coming up in about 10 minutes at the conclusion of this one. You look at Coach Brandon Raines. We mentioned he played college basketball at Pfeiffer University for Dave Davis. And Gingham for Monroe has been so big in this game for the Redhawks, especially in the second half. Well, it is Yellow Jackets basketball with 4:09 left to go in the fourth quarter, trailing by 2. As this one's deflected, and they'll change the location of the throw-in for the Yellow Jackets. Quick inbound, Griffin. Jumper short. And Sade Robinson pulls in the rebound. Trying to throw it up the floor to Jones. Good find, Melton, and she's shoved from behind. Couple of free throws coming for Leah Melton and the Yellow Jackets. Both of these teams with significant leads in this game. We mentioned Monroe scored the first 7 points of the night. And Forest Hills had that 13-point lead at halftime. Monroe has fought back. They lead by 1. And Robinson shuffled the feet, a travel, and a turnover back to the Yellow Jackets. Griffin on the pull-up, off the mark. Rebound Red Hawks, and Jones gets bumped. That's Dynasty Wallace, her third. And again, we mentioned Monroe has been in the bonus for the last several minutes. Red Hawks was still with 1 foul to give. And Jones at the free throw line for the Red Hawks. And swirls in the second. Griffin floater good, and we're tied at 46. Inbound to Jones. Pressure. Melton the steal. Melton turned back by Montgomery. Now numbers for the Red Hawks. And Gingham had it knocked out of her hands. Last touch by the Yellow Jackets, they say. It'll stay with the Red Hawks. Robinson rejected by Melton. And out of bounds, it'll stay with Monroe. And Jones just lost it out of bounds off her leg. So Forest Hills a chance to retake the lead here with just over 3 minutes left to play. And Griffin, the floater, misses long. Melton surveys. Griffin trying to pull up, had it blocked. And now Robinson gets tied up. Arrow's going to keep it on this end with the Yellow Jackets. This place packed in here. We mentioned about 10 minutes apart. And Griffin out of bounds along the sideline. So it'll be Monroe basketball. Jones attacking is fouled. And these are big right here. Summer Jones at the free throw line for the Red Hawks of Monroe. And can't make on the first. Rattles in the second one. Monroe leading by 1. Just under 2.5 left to play. And Melton had it knocked out of her hands. Brendan Rains wanted a foul call. He didn't get it. And then Gingham throws it out of bounds. Here's Melton. Forest Hill's a chance here. Floater, no. Long, and Melton goes back up and draws the foul. Now this fourth quarter, back and forth with multiple lead changes. It could come down to the free throw line right here. Smooth as silk. Melton hits the first. Gets the roll in the second. Two big free throws for Leah Melton. They get it to Gingham. Gingham trying to attack. Deflected out of bounds. It'll stay with the Red Hawks. And a timeout here with 1:57 left to play in the fourth. And folks, we want to remind you, Friday night, it's Weddington Marvin Ridge on our Bahakel Sports Game of the Week. Starting with the women at 6 o'clock, the men to follow. All streaming live right here on BahakelSports.com. Hope you'll join us for that one as well. 2 4A powers will clash. I mentioned Weddington in the top 10 of the 4A West region in the men's side of things so far this year. And you get a look inside of Brandon Rains and Leroy Osborne's huddles in the waning 2 minutes of what has been a fun battle tonight in the Rocky River 2A, 3A conference. We mentioned both of these teams in the 2A, 3A split conference. And when state playoffs come around, they will be seated in the 2A classification, both right around 1,000 students enrollment at these two schools. And this game here, talking with both coaches, could be one that separates a playoff berth or not. Again, they're going to meet again the last game of the regular season. Jones goes up and gets fouled. Summer Jones with a pair of free throws here for the Red Hawks. Mention both teams in the bonus the rest of the way. And second one up and good. 49-48. Griffin on the pull-up. Smooth as silk. And the sophomore gets the floater to go. Yellow Jackets by 1. Trying to feed it into Gingham. They can't get it to her. And a travel. Forest Hills basketball with 90 seconds left. Let's take a second look at that quick crossover from Griffin. And just pure on the pull-up. Forest Hills a lead in the basketball here. Griffin just dribbling around the top. And Jones is going to foul Melton. Well, about 19 seconds went off the clock there. And it's going to send Melton to the free throw line for Forest Hills. And can't get the roll. Missed them both. That one just popped out on Melton. Rebound Monroe. In the paint goes Jones. Nowhere to go. It's loose on the floor. And now a jump ball. Arrow's going to keep it on this end. Montgomery will trigger it in for the Red Hawks. And a steal off the inbound. Clyburn Smith just took it right away. And Forest Hills trying to hold the ball as Jones picks up another foul. It's going to send Melton to the free throw line. Just missed back-to-back free throws. We'll see if she can capitalize here for the Yellow Jackets. And strips it out on the first. And a second one good. There is exactly 46 and a half officially on the game clock here, and a whistle and a foul called against Diamond Wallace. So Summer Jones to the line for Monroe. Knocks down the first. We talked about it starting to become standing room only here. Packing in for that men's game that we'll have right here on BahakelSports.com, and about 10 minutes at the conclusion of this one. What a finish, though, here in game one. We're witnessing 1 point game, 41 seconds. And Forest Hills with a 1 point lead. And finally, Jones comes out and fouls Melton. That's who they want at the line. And that is going to be Jones' fifth. She's done. And that is a blow here in the final 34 seconds for Monroe. Not having one of their primary ball handlers in. And Melton can't hit the first. And second one up and good. Jones, nowhere to go. Gives it back to Sade Robinson. Robinson over the top. Montgomery can't finish it. Rebound, Yellow Jackets. Griffin has it with 18 seconds. Griffin leaves it off for Melton. Final 9 seconds. Monroe's going to have to foul. And finally they do. With 4.9 ticks left, Melton to the free throw line for Forest Hills. And leaves the first one short. There's still time for Monroe, the Red Hawks. Gets one of two. 54-51. They inbound to Gingham with two. Gingham had it deflected out of play. 1.3 ticks left. It's a catch and shoot situation for the Red Hawks. And a timeout here with 1.3. We'll keep it right here from Monroe High School. Wow, what a game. 54-51. This was a 13-point game at halftime. We saw a haymaker to start the third quarter for Monroe. 15 unanswered points to take back a 32-30 lead. And then it's been back and forth this entire fourth quarter. You look at these two teams. Forest Hill's a chance to pick up their third conference win and get back to 500. Monroe, it would be their second conference win. And these two teams in the conference standings at 4th and 5th, respectively, in the Rocky River 2A, 3A. Gingham on the hoist, and Forest Hills does it. They hang on to pick up a key conference win. And how big was Griffin and Melton to finish things out for the Yellow Jackets, who win it 54-51 in Game 1 of our doubleheader on BahakelSports.com. We're going to wrap things up. Forest Hills 3-3 in conference. We've got the men coming up in about 10 minutes.